Hello, I'm Lucas Schemper. I'm a historian and Swiss National Science Foundation postdoctoral researcher at the Rachel Carson Center for Environment and Society in Munich. And my current research interest concerns international development organizations and how they reacted to risk stemming from industrial accidents in the 1970s and 1980s. And one major international organization that I'm looking at in my forthcoming paper for the STREAMS conference in Stockholm is the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA. In this context, the idea of nuclear narratives is a helpful way to better understand how this international organization presented and framed nuclear energy to the media, to governments, and to a wider public more generally. It's thus going to be about the narrative promoted by an international organization in the past, but which is in interplay with the narratives produced by other local and international actors as well, and which also resonates with narratives about nuclear energy today. The International Atomic Energy Agency was created in the 1950s to regulate and promote the peaceful use of nuclear power. And this organization's selling point for doing so was that nuclear energy had considerable advantages compared to other forms of energy which were more damaging to the environment. However, simultaneously, you had the emergence of something that the IAEA itself framed euphemistically as the so-called nuclear controversy, meaning that there was increased opposition to further develop nuclear energy, notably by social movements. Near accidents and actual accidents in the 1970s and in the 1980s reinforced already existing public skepticism towards nuclear power. Anti-nuclear movements everywhere argued that even local accidents at nuclear power plants could have far-reaching repercussions from the regional to the global level. Several sociologists concluded around the same time that the risk posed by technologies such as nuclear power were proof that Western societies had become risk societies, meaning that their technical progress created its own risk. Hence, we have in my paper at least three competing narratives: a pro-nuclear one, an anti-nuclear one, and a self-reflective take offered by social scientists. The paper will be concerned with how the IAEA, which was very well aware of these counter-narratives, tried to make its own message heard, how it tried to sell its narrative to the public. In particular, I'll pay attention to three questions. The first question concerns the modes and channels of communication between IAEA and the public. The public almost exclusively learned about the activities of international organizations through the media, and the question is how the IAEA made use of the media, for example, by providing ready-made information material and public press statements. The second set of questions concerns the apparent dissonance between the IAEA's rational and scientific narrative on the issue and the more critical and emotional perception by the wider public, as well as the coverage by the media. Nuclear energy is a scientifically complex matter. Hence, the public or the media frequently misinterpreted issues around the risks posed by nuclear reactors, leading to fears among parts of the population. So what strategies did the IAEA pursue to counter misinformation? How did they convey scientific expertise to a wider audience? And to what extent did the international organization make use of its network of scientists and experts, not only nuclear scientists, but also social scientists, to achieve this goal? Finally, the paper will investigate how the International Atomic Energy Agency was perceived by the public, and in particular with regard to the issue of responsibility. There again was a certain disconnect. The media or the public appeared to have perceived the IAEA itself as being responsible as both a watchdog and as a promoter of nuclear energy. On the other hand, the message by the organization itself was mostly that we live in a risky place and that we have no choice but to accept that risk. So no one is to blame in the end, and the risk remains an inevitable diffuse danger. So that's it for now. I'm looking forward to telling you more at the STREAMS conference in 2021 in Stockholm.